everyone. This is Hera, which with me we have Allison, Beatrice, Tiffany, and Zoe, and we're here to welcome you to our very first session of Bloom with You, Chance Trauma Support Group. The hardest part is over. You're here with us, you've signed up, you've shown up, and you've started the work towards recovery. And we want to tell you more about ourselves because you will be spending the next 4 weeks with us. So why don't I start with myself? So I am from Pakistan. That's where I grew up, and I live in the UK now. This is why, in one way you can see that is because it's so dark here, and there's a light shining right on my face. And I speak Urdu. It's my mother tongue. I also speak a little bit of Punjabi, a little bit, and English. And I started Chen 7 years ago. I have two cats who I love a lot, and you will find them all across Chen's and my own Instagram. And I am addicted to tea. So these are the things. I have lived in Pakistan and in the UK. These are the countries that I've lived in. And I say that because with us, we have a very international team. So Beatrice, tell us more about yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Beatrice. I am from Colombia, and right now I am in Colombia. But I have lived also in Italy. That's why I speak also a little bit of Italian, not like bad Italian. And
Should someone test you in Italian? Can you pass a test?
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh, great.
And I also have lived in Germany, although only starting to learn German. I am a service designer, and my favorite hobby is to go up mountains. So
awesome. Then you speak Spanish, Italian, and you're now learning German, and of course you speak English.
Yes.
Awesome. And we also have Beatrice. So that was Beatrice. We have Zoe and Allison and Tiffany. So who wants to go first? Tiffany, do you want to tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Yep, I'm Tiffany. I'm a New York transplant. Moved from New York to Colorado Springs. I'm full-time mom, front-end developer, and I'm facilitating the courses with you guys here at Bloom. So we're excited. Something interesting. I am a first-generation American. My father is Jamaican, so I know and understand patois, a lot of the music, and love the food and can cook a few things. And so excited to be here. And we could move on to Zoe.
Hi, yes, I'm Zoe. I'm calling to you from London. I've lived in the UK for the last 10 years, but you can probably tell from my voice that's not where I grew up. I grew up in San Francisco, California, and I've lived in the US and the UK. I've also lived in Finland, the Netherlands, Germany, and also Switzerland for a couple months.
What? How did I not know this? I had no idea.
I traveled around a lot while studying for my master's program, so that's the Finland and everything. We spent winter in Finland, which, let me just tell you, is an experience. It is very cold, very lovely, really nice. Languages, I speak French, and I've made feeble attempts at German and Yiddish, but I'm nowhere near proficient in either of those. And something about me, I love scary things. I've told Hera we share a love of scary things.
Yep.
And I love musicals. So, Allison, would you like to introduce yourself?
Why am I going last after everyone has talked about all these wonderful, amazing places they've lived and all the languages they speak? And I'm just kind of here like, okay, I've lived 2 places. I used to be able to speak French. So not that there's any shame in that. I'm Allison. So I'm originally from Canada on the West Coast. So when I say West Coast, you can hear my accent get more Canadian. But I'm currently living in Scotland. I did my schooling in England, however, so that slight shift north, which apparently counts as the new location. And yes, I used to speak French because I actually did my schooling in French between the ages of 4 to 12. So I learned English as my first language, but I learned actually the grammar rules of English through just reading extensively because we didn't have English classes. And now I'm writing with all of you, so it worked out. And I'm currently doing my PhD, and I also do poetry quite extensively. I think those are my main things. I can never think of any sort of fun facts.
I know one.
What?
you have dinner at a ridiculously early time.
You know what?
That's true.
The one thing that lockdown has enabled in me is I get to live my best life feeling like a productive person. So I'll wake up at 5 and then I have to eat dinner at like 5 p.m., which, yes, overlaps with our meetings. So maybe I'll have to like rush eat a pasta bowl before recordings.
We don't grandma shame here. We're all
Yeah,
the
no,
early
absolutely
bedtimes.
no. No one apart from me does that. So, but yeah, it's great to share this space with you, and you'll get to know us more throughout this video and the other videos. And now we can tell you a bit more about how the course runs.
Yes. So just as a legal intro, rather, please know that all of our courses with Bloom are not meant to replace any professional service. Bloom has been widely researched, double-checked, and verified by certified trauma support workers, including our professional therapist. So the information and advice that we cover is psychologically informed, and just as importantly, also informed by our own team of survivors who've included their own resources and stories in recovering from abuse and assault. However, this program is not a replacement for the individual attention and training of an accredited counselor or an agency. Bloom is meant to be used as an additional resource however you see fit.
Exactly. Our courses have been designed specifically with two intentions, to both inform and empower. Over the next 8 weeks, our team will pass on key information, offer advice, and give you the tools that will enable you to heal and to cope. Ultimately, by giving you this information through our videos, daily messages, and one-to-one chats, we hope to embolden and acknowledge and empower each person to build their self-esteem, banish shame, and to make the best choices for their own lives.
Now, this course is designed for anyone who wants to learn about their boundaries and ways to establish healthy boundaries in their lives. Just another quick disclaimer. If you are dealing with someone who is physically dangerous or actively threatening, it may not always be safe to set explicit boundaries with them. However, if you are in one of these situations, you can work with a counselor, a therapist, or an advocate to create a safety plan. And boundary setting may well be a part of this. Consider going through this course, writing down the main points from each video, and approaching a professional or speaking to us one-on-one with what seems appropriate and safe from what we've learned.
Yes, and now on to our very first goals of the course. So the goals for this session are, at the start of every video, we go through the goals for each session. We want to introduce ourselves. We've done that. We want to introduce Bloom and the course to you. We've done that too. And we want to define what boundaries mean and start reflecting on the ones that we have. So at the start of every session, we do grounding exercises, and grounding exercises are a way or sort of strategies that help us literally ground us down to where we are. And if you heard that, that was one of my cats jumping on the other cat and then both tumbling down. So they're both fine. So it's our first trick to wellness. It takes us away from anything that might be overwhelming us, giving us pain or any difficult memories. It takes us away from that, brings us to the moment of here and now, and makes us feel present. When we feel like we're dissociating, which means when you feel like you're floating somewhere outside your body, you doesn't feel like life is happening to you, things don't feel real. And if any point in this video you feel uncomfortable, or at anywhere during this session or another session, you can use one of our grounding exercises to bring yourself back and away from those hard emotions and physical sensations. And these grounding techniques are not just for these videos, they're for life. So we're going to try a different one every week, every video, so you get to try lots of them. And if you can, please join us in our first grounding exercise.
Absolutely. So today our first grounding exercise will be, we want to start with an energizing exercise for our first session. So clap and rub your hands together, really hear the noise and feel the sensation in your hands and all the way up your arms. Now stamp your feet. I'm not going to do it with you because my laptop will shake, but stamp your feet focus on the sound that makes and how your legs feel. Stomp them way out in front of you, stomp them really close to your body, go in and out, rubbing those hands. Oh, great. I do feel a little bit more energized for having done that. I like that. So I just remember as we're doing these grounding exercises at the beginning of the session, everyone's different. So a grounding exercise that works for someone else might not work for you. And also they might depend on where you are at the time that you're doing them, of course. And that's totally fine. We'll be doing a different exercise each session so that we can find the ones that work best for us. If you don't feel able to do one or don't want to do one, just step back and maybe just message us with your concerns, and we can reflect on what's working and what isn't in terms of these exercises, because this course is always a conversation.
That's right, Zoe. And we also have a fun question for today. We like to start out the first week of our sessions with this fun question, and as is appropriate for our program's name, and as we ask for every first course, we want to ask you, what's your favorite flower or plant? Please, we would like you to send us your answers with your homework, and we'll review them together in the chat.
Yeah, and should we discuss our favorites as well? And if you've already taken a course with us, then you can skip this part because you've already heard the answers. But my favorite flower, and also if you're taking another course with us, then you've heard this answer as well. My favorite flower is jasmine. I also love roses, and I love marigolds. It's one other flower which is called ginda in Urdu, and it's like I really love the smell of it. It smells like celebration to me.
Oh, my favorite flower I've mentioned in the past is peonies, king of flowers, and plants. I like seclusans or cactuses. They just look interesting to me.
And my answer has to be snowdrops. They're always the first flower that comes out after winter. And I think as our seasons are darkening in this time of the world, and I'm kind of thinking of winter coming in the snow, I'm already anticipating spring.
Very similar to Allison here. I was thinking like, oh, what are some of the first flowers that come out in the spring? So also tulips, I love when you see the first buds of tulips coming up in like kind of February, maybe early March. I really love that. Yeah, it's a sign of the spring to come. And yeah, we're heading into winter, but we're already thinking about spring.
It's true. Well, in my case, since I'm in an eternal summer, well, my favorite flowers are orchids. We always have them in very humid places. So yeah, I get to see them once in a while.
And Allison has one with her right now. Allison, do you want to show us your flower?
I can get
Product placement.
I'm desperately afraid that I'm going to drop this on my table and just ruin everything. But yeah, actually, the person who sent this to me was somebody who helped us write our courses as well, Becky, like a few weeks ago. Yeah, so it's like a memory as well, and it's managed to stay alive.
That's amazing. And I also wanted to know from everyone if there was one drink that you thought really kind of, reminded you of a friend. What would that be? So for me, it's always tea, because when I was growing up, my friends would come over to me and they always made fun of me because I always loved tea. So it was like a thing. Everyone would come over, sit on my bed, and they would all make fun of me for getting tea, but then they would all drink it with me because no one wanted me to drink it alone. So they would all drink tea even though they didn't want to, and I would just love every second of it, and we'd have biscuits with it.
I think my answer has to be, I associate my mother with black coffee because when I was growing up, I always thought that it made her so cool that she didn't have to add anything to her drink. Like she was just able to pour it and go, and I'm just sitting there not with my coffee but with my like endless like milk and sugar additions onto everything else, like a child with no taste. So that would be my answer.
I'm gonna have to get on that coffee bandwagon, but I wish I could drink it black. I have, and for someone who doesn't have a lot of time, maybe I should start drinking it black. But I definitely love my cream and sugar, and I actually use, which might be weird to somebody, as condensed milk. Maybe it's a Jamaican thing, we use it for things that maybe would think
It's
it
not
shouldn't
weird
go
at
in.
all,
Like,
Tiffany. It's a real, like many people do it. There's a like it's Vietnamese coffee is famous for like having a lot of like condensed milk. And in Pakistan, some people also put the condensed milk in, not like in their tea, in their coffee. So yeah, I totally get that association.
that's how I save time. It's sugar and milk all in one. I don't have to go do all those things and like, is that enough coffee? Is that enough milk? It's perfect. Just a few spoons.
I think for me, it would also be tea. Hera, I'm going to steal your answer. But for me, it's like tea is very much associated with like the British part of my family, and like the routine of tea was something that I really got used to, like living here, and it's something I always associate with my mom because she was the only person I knew growing up who drank tea. It was like that's her thing, black tea, and it has to be black tea, by the way. Everything else is just some other hot drink. It must be black tea for it to be tea.
Yeah. So we could just jump in. So let's get to it. Now you've signed up for creating boundaries, of course, and despite this, you might be unsure about what to expect, and we don't blame you. At least at least when it came to putting this course together, our team was a bit baffled too, with where to start. And after all, we what are boundaries? Like, what is that? It is a bit mysterious, isn't it? Boundaries they often feel like a buzzword, commonly spoken, like a little defined. And the reason for its mystery might be that it's not a topic we are familiar with. We don't usually learn about boundaries in common discourse or in our language. Instead, we encounter our boundaries, or the lack of them, as we come in contact with our world, our feelings, in our wariness, and that knot that grows in the pits of our stomachs when we feel something is wrong, or on our inability to say no, or that does not serve us. Now, maybe like us, you are starting to understand the ways you are lacking in boundaries, or maybe your excess of boundaries are disconnecting you from what you want, and you want to be and the relationships you want for yourself. So we're going to so we're creating boundaries, and maintaining them is a skill, and it takes learning and practice like any other thing that we do. But we want you to feel like our program is going to be all work. We don't want
You
you
mean
guys to
we
feel like,
don't want you to feel like?
yeah. I'm already thinking about this. We have to put a lot of work in already. I'm already to get there. But no, we don't want you guys to feel like it's all work and no fun. And so we've called this course Creating Boundaries, because that's what we're going to do. We aren't building boundaries like a hard brick wall. We are considering what they need to look like for ourselves.
Yeah, and this is the first thing we want to put forward when it comes to making boundaries. They're not there to just, keep things out, in totality. Just, it's not a fortress. Instead, think of your boundaries like a cell membrane, or even like your lungs. You have to let in what's good. You have to take in that oxygen as much as, you keep out the toxin and the smoke. That's how we properly breathe and live and survive. So it's not just about saying no, it's also about saying yes.
Yeah, and we'll be going through likely a couple of metaphors as we go through this as course, because I think it can be so helpful in illustrating just what boundaries mean to us. But you could also think about your boundaries like invisible fairy lights that you set around yourself internally and externally. They're not barbed wires to keep things out, but lights that keep harm at bay and let other types of light in that allow us to see. It's a play of shadow and light. It's about learning to make space for discomfort, learning how to trust ourselves, being decisive, and committing to living fulfilling lives. With Bloom, we hope we can guide you to enact and take charge of the things that you do want to let in, or to figure out what those things are, in addition to putting restrictions on the dark. In this course, we will help you learn, identify, create, set, and sustain your boundaries, all from your own perspective and point of your own personal creativity. You've probably joined this course knowing what needs changing in your life or what you're unhappy with. So we will defer to your judgment and ask you to communicate those needs to yourself and to us as we stand by to help you in our chats along the way.
The reason we need healthy boundaries is to protect and take care of ourselves. Having healthy boundaries can have a significant impact on our well-being and our everyday life. They can affect our relationships, they can change the way that we see our routine, they can help us feel more in control. This means that healthy boundaries are a crucial part of self-care. This is why we will focus this course on finding clear and practical ways of connecting with our needs. So through our created boundaries, we ultimately get to take better care of ourselves. When we talk about boundaries, we also can't just look at ourselves as much as we've talked about just us in a vacuum or isolated. We're also going to think about the boundaries that others have with us, or the ways our cultures and societies influence our limits. In this course, we will explore both how we create and assert our own limits, as well as how we can identify and respect the boundaries of others, as well as the larger global restrictions that may not serve us.
So, the things we have experienced growing up and in all of our adult life can also affect the way we create boundaries in the present and future. For example, if you come from a family and a culture where work is very important and your parents were very determined that you dedicate your life to finding a good job, then it would be normal for you to have difficulty setting boundaries with the time you dedicate to your job. As another example, if you suffered bullying in your teenage years, this could have had an impact in your relationships with peers, friends, and also colleagues as an adult. Impact can be positive too. Many times we take those difficult experiences and transform them in learning, and placing boundaries is also a resilience outcome. This isn't to say that there is a perfect formula or a one-size-fits-all for creating our boundaries. Your boundaries will and should change over time within different situations, or may differ depending on the relationship you have with whatever person or relationship you're exploring right now.
Exactly. And welcome back, Beatrice, from your Skype jail. You were able to come back with audio. Good to have you again. So as Beatrice was saying, boundaries don't have to be fixed over time. They can change, they can transform as we grow as people, and we experience, different forms of life and relationships, betrayals, love, happiness. But here's the most important thing we want you to remember over the next month that we have together. Boundaries aren't just about saying no. They are about enabling you to create the space you want for love, growth, and joy. It's about making room for moments that you want to cherish. In the book, Where to Draw the Line, How to Set Healthy Boundaries Every Day, therapist and psychologist Anne Catherine describes the difference between defenses and boundaries. We believe this is a critical difference. As we said with our cell metaphor, you should not have walls. You should not be a fortress. Vulnerability is key to our humanity. And here's a quote that I'm going to read out to you from that book. Boundaries discriminate. With the boundary toolkit, you pay attention to actions that discount you and limit such interactions with dispatch. Before you call your rejecting mother, you remind yourself to thicken your boundary. If she makes a rejecting comment, you either make a firm statement that sets that boundary, or you end that conversation immediately. By taking yourself out of situations in which you or your choices are being negated, you send your psyche or your brain the message that you are taking charge of your self-protection, and that it need not always be on automatic red alert. Years ago, we controlled weeds in our lawn with a poison so pervasive that it threatened the extinction of certain birds. Now we have weed control that is very specific in its action. We have learned that large-scale, drastic measures cost more than they are worth.
Wow, that's something to think about, huh? Well, she describes boundaries as protecting herself in specific and mindful ways. And we think that's exactly it. We will look at boundary style, and the different areas in our lives where boundaries can play a big role in the coming sessions. For now, we're glad to have you here with us through all our different comparisons. Thanks for bearing with us, And with that, we'll move into our homework.
Yes. For the homework this week, our very first homework, and you will get more each video, but please take them at your own pace and share them with us when it suits you. We are going to do, well, my favorite thing for the first homework, which is to start our thought diaries or our course journals. So we want you to find or buy a notebook, or even just use some scrap paper, a post-it note, the back of an envelope, anything to write on. And begin to write your thoughts down. Because when we write things down, we become aware of the content of our minds and the feelings in our bodies. This can often feel scary at first, but as we note things down and make sense of our own thoughts and our stories, we become conscious. And when we're conscious, we're able to make change. In this case, we are going to give you a specific task with this thought diary. We want you to identify 3 situations in the past month where you think you either crossed someone's boundaries or when they crossed yours. Consider what these 3 situations have in common. Do these events usually bother you? Did it seem like a one-off? Consider what you can tolerate, because through this course we will begin to challenge some of the ideas of what is okay to deal with and tolerate, and what limits we do want to keep in place to keep us safe and protected. And again, as we were talking throughout this video, just what limits we want to let go of so we can get in more of that good. And remember, this is an investment in your own recovery and journey. So give yourself the best chance to build resilience. You can do this. We're in it together.
That's right. And we also wanted to tell you that this is also a space to talk about any questions or discuss with us. You can do this through the chat and ask us things that you could not ask before. This is a safe space and we're here for you. So thank you everyone for coming to this session and showing up, and also for the others who are here because they know that they are not alone. We're all in this together. We also like to end our sessions with a grounding exercise. So we're going to breathe from 5 to 1 and we're going to let it out with a sigh. So go with me. And let it out. Now, also we would like you to name one positive thing that you will take with you away from this session. And also, what is your feel-good phrase? This is an affirmation, a mantra that you have. We hope that you can say it out loud and repeat it to yourself so it gets easier every time.
And I want to know, what Zoe or Tiffany, tell us about yours. What do you say? What is your feel-good phrase?
For me, I actually was telling Beatrice about this on another one of our courses. I had a teacher, her name, in I think it was junior high school, and I got bullied a lot there actually. And she used to tell us, the class, I am somebody. I feel good about myself. I have talent, skills, and abilities. I am somebody. And I believe there was more to that mantra, but this is what I really could remember in my heart. And that followed me through like life. So that's always been my mantra.
Amazing. That's so strong. I love it.
Okay, so then we would like to end with asking you another question. What is the one thing that you'll do this week for yourself and just for yourself? We want you to think about that moment of happiness, and we'll check on this on the next session.
Yeah, amazing. And I'll share one with you. So I ordered some clothes like a few months ago, and I haven't actually, they're just like sitting there in a box, and I haven't really opened them. So I'm planning on Thursday to get like dressed up and wear one of those clothes, and yeah, just kind of, for a change, feel like I'm like doing something new. So that's something I've planned. It has nothing to do with anybody else around me, and I'm looking forward to it. So you can ask me all about it in one of our chats.
Well, that sounds exciting. And hopefully there'll be a photo to share because I'm really curious to see how it is. So again, feel free to message us in the chat with all these. Now, how have you found today's video? Let us know any feedback, positive or negative. You can DM us. And this course is about helping you. And we want to make that promise, make that promise to you to take in that personal feedback that you may have as we go through these courses and into improving and keeping your words in mind. Now, we are available at any point to get in touch via personal message for any concerns you have, questions about the program, to review the homework, or just to chat.
Yes, and we'll see you on Thursday. Bye.
Bye.